What is good, YouTube? Kyle here from Wrestling with Fans. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to What the Fuck Was That? The Raw after WrestleMania 39. We are live yet again tonight, and of course, I'm joined, as always, Rick. What is good, my friend?
So, Bubba?
Oh, just this long WrestleMania weekend is starting to catch up with me, and I'm
Oh,
sure it
yeah.
has for all of the talent and WWE personnel as well. But even as a fan, I'm kind of still feeling it, getting that WrestleMania hangover, and apparently Raw did last night as well. So
Yeah.
again, for those who've been following the channel, and appreciate all the new subscribers, we've gotten several new subscribers over the last few days. So thank you all so much for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate that very much. The best way to support the channel is to thumbs up the video and then super click that subscribe button and share the stream with your wrestling friends. Let them know about Wrestling with Fans. We'd love to have some more people in here to chat with. But Rick, we are here tonight to talk about the infamous Raw after WrestleMania. Now, normally in years past, this is the best Monday Night Raw of the year. They usually have a lot of jam-packed action. They follow up with all their post-WrestleMania storylines. They start new storylines heading to Backlash. We usually get some awesome returns and even some awesome debuts with the company.
Yeah.
We got none of it. None. In fact,
Kind of one.
Yeah, one return.
Yeah. One return.
But it was from suspension, which I guess sort of counts, I guess.
Yay.
But just for fun, here's something I'm not sure if you're aware. So I did the math.
All right.
Of the entire 3-hour show, the first hour of which was commercial free, there was 31 minutes and 28 seconds of actual wrestling action. And the commercial free first hour only had 96 seconds of wrestling action.
It's good.
If that's any indication for those that didn't watch Raw or tuned out after a certain time, that should be the litmus test of oh wow, that's doesn't seem good. I mean, it wasn't all horrible, but there's really not a lot good to say about Raw. So
Not a lot.
Just kind of run down the show in general.
Yeah.
All right, so we did start off with a pretty good promo. We did have Roman and the Bloodline. Well, Roman, Solo, and the Wise Man Paul Heyman, and then we also get Cody Rhodes. Cody tries to talk him into a rematch. Paul says, we can do it on, 2 conditions. Number 1, they had to have wrestled on WrestleMania, and number 2, whoever is your partner can never challenge Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Universal Championship while he's champion. And then we get the music of the Beast, Brock Lesnar. So we set up really quick early on in the show. It's going to be Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes versus Solo and Roman. What did you think of this opening segment, which seemed to take quite a while?
Yeah, Triple H's intro was fine. It was a nice little thank you. It was actually longer than...
I did skip Triple H's. Sorry. Let's jump back to... Let's talk about the promo, and then we'll go back to Triple H.
So this promo, the Roman and Cody promo, was... it was okay. I felt weird. There was a really awkward moment where he said you were the better competitor, and I think everyone in the arena kind of was like, what? And even they were looking at each other awkwardly, like everyone doesn't know that Solo won the match. I don't understand. It was a really awkward moment where he goes, yeah, and last night you were the better competitor. And the whole stadium, they just waited for the stadium to chant you suck or whatever. I don't know, man. It felt awkward. Brock coming out felt weird. I honestly, though, by the end of it, I was kind of excited to see what the match was going to look like. So I guess it did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, it definitely set up, the main event segment for the night. I was expecting a lot of different people, and none of them were Brock Lesnar. I'd said on our stream last night, I was like, my guess would be, Matt Cardona coming back. I was thinking maybe it could have been Randy Orton. It could have been, hell, debuting Jay White. Like, who knows? Like, it could have been an NXT call up. It could have been Braun Breaker. Like, Brock Lesnar was nowhere on the radar of people I thought would be Cody's partner for that match tonight. And, well,
yeah,
weird. I thought the promo wasn't bad. It wasn't as good as anything as far as going into the build of the match itself. But, the match is over. They've kind of moved past, and we're moving on to the next thing. And it was just kind of was what it was. But since you brought it up, I completely skipped over it. Let's jump back to the actual opening of the show. Paul Triple H Levesque coming out to make a major announcement. He did announce that we didn't really. He talked about it without actually saying it, but he was referring to the news that WWE and the UFC are now going to be merging under Endeavor. Endeavor, the parent company of UFC, is slated to purchase WWE. We talked about it briefly last night. What little information we know about it. So he came out and basically said, we're not going anywhere. And I looked at Jen while we were watching that promo at the opening of Raw. And the first thing I'm thinking, like, within the first minute, I looked at her. I'm like, is he quitting? Like, is he retiring? Like,
yeah.
That's what I thought. And after reading a lot of comments online today, that's what a lot of other people thought. What did you think of Papa H's opening salvo to the Raw after Mania?
It kind of felt the same to me. It felt like maybe he thought that some things were going to be taken away from him in the next, in the upcoming. And a lot of the stuff that I read with Endeavor taking over, he's not really mentioned in a lot of the stuff that I read, which I found interesting. They kind of just talk about Nick Khan, and then they talk about Dana on the UFC side. So those two are going to be running things, and that's kind of all they talk about. So when you look at that kind of a format, and then everything else is kind of panel run, you almost wonder kind of what Triple H's role is going to be when they have kind of an entire parent company, because a lot of that stuff turns to office politics and backstage politics and the silly stuff, the breakdowns. What kind of happened with WCW and where everybody kind of turns into chaos mode under a conglomerate like that. So I don't know. I think he's worried is kind of what I got from there. It felt like thank everybody for supporting the brand to this point, and then hope to see you soon was what it felt like.
Yeah, it felt like he was like walking away, which I thought was a weird vibe to it. Like, I'm coming out here, and then instead of the "We Are NXT," which he was famous for, it was "We Are WWE." Then now together forever, blah 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 blah. But it just had a weird vibe to it. Now, the little that I've seen, now again, a lot of this stuff that we're going to see in the next probably couple of months is all just going to be conjecture, rumor, and innuendo, speculation, all that stuff. But from what I've seen, I've tried to listen to Dave Meltzer, and a lot of times I dog some of Dave's stuff here on the podcast, and a lot of other people either love Dave Meltzer or you hate him. From what he is reporting is that Triple H will still be in charge of creative. He will still be the chief content officer. However, Vince will have the ultimate say. He also, Vince, pronouns, pal, signed a new contract with the company, a 2-year deal, $1.2 million to be the chief executive officer. Nick Khan will still serve as president. But Vince has basically set himself back up in the company. Apparently, this was signed last week just before the news of the sale went through. So he basically set himself up for the next 2 years. And he said in the CNBC interview that dropped yesterday that he won't be involved in the quote-unquote nuts and bolts of the creative, but he will be involved from afar. So Vince speak, that means I'm still in charge, pal. I have the final say, pal. Doesn't matter. And for all intents and purposes, last night's Raw was Vince booking 101.
Yeah.
And I did see from people in attendance that called into Pro Wrestling Torches post show last night that And even Brian Alvarez from Wrestling Observer reported this earlier today too on one of their videos. The production, if you go to Raw, there's like a little production area where you got like all your lights and your cameras, like all that stuff sit down on the floor. Apparently, these guys were delivered multiple run sheet updates, at least 3 within 45 minutes. So there was a lot of rewrites going on. Bailey and Damage Control were supposed to be on the show, but they were pulled last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And if you believe again those reports, there's a lot of unrest and a lot of uneasy wrestlers in the backstage area of WWE right now with Vince back and the sale and all this stuff. So
Well, Damage
it's a
Control
very
was there.
tumultuous time in the company.
Damage Control was there.
Were they on Raw?
Yeah, Dakota and Io, they
Like you said,
wrestled.
Bailey was one pulled.
Yeah, Bailey wasn't there. Bailey was one that I think was on a sheet that I read was going to make an appearance tonight. She did not show up.
Yeah, so, and apparently there were supposed to have been these championship contender matches that didn't happen. That got rewritten. Apparently, Pretty Deadly from NXT was supposed to debut last night, and there's a fan video from when Seth came out that during the commercial break, one of the producers comes up and tells him of some changes. So the rumor is that Pretty Deadly was going to. Sorry, the train's really loud. Just went through. I didn't realize my window was open.
Rocket.
Pretty Deadly was supposed to debut during Seth's segment last night.
Oh,
Which
that's why Seth's segment was so terrible. Yeah.
So, yeah, apparently there's a lot of rewrites and last minute changes, which is Vince booking 101, unfortunately. But I guess we can keep moving through this show. I think next was was it the Bad Bunny thing was next?
Elias and Omos.
Elias and Omos. The only I don't have notes. I'm just going off of memory, so I may let you
oh yeah, I've got it all scripted, so I've got I can go
here.
section to section. Yeah.
That match went 96 seconds, so not even a full 2 minutes, barely a minute and a half of wrestling action, and Omos again just squashing random people.
Yep. Fun.
Such good shit, pal.
Yeah, it's just good wrestling so far, right? We get a Triple H apology. We get a random Brock shoehorn into a possible Cody Roman rematch, which honestly, with them, you knew they were just done together because when Royal Rumble, you already know my feelings on that. This whole thing feels so random up until this point right now because like they don't know what to do with Cody and Roman. It's like they're booking this every 10 minutes. Like, what are we going to do? What do we think we're going to do? What are we going to change next? They don't know. Brock gets shoehorned in. He's actually a face who's now, I guess, a heel, maybe getting paid by paid off by Heyman, but he loses his choice to challenge Roman by taking the tag team part of it. I don't know, man. I don't like any of this, so I don't know. I don't. It all feels random. I don't know where anything's going. So up until this point, Omos smashes Elias. Sorry for spoilers. I think I let shit out there, but I just can't help it, man. It's all so random that I don't even know what happens when. It actually hurts my brain.
Yeah, it was rough. I watched like the first hour and a half of Raw last night before I finally went to bed, and then I listened to some podcasts today recapping it, and I watched some clips earlier. It just was bad, but there was the one interesting thing in this first hour. What the backstage segment that we get next. The Usos go up to Roman Reigns' locker room. Heyman comes out, smiles, said, you're basically blowing smoke up their ass. And said that Roman and Solo were off, planning or whatever he said they were doing. When Usos left, you can see Heyman goes in, and the camera, specifically the mic picked up, I took care of it, my tribal chief. So Roman wants nothing to do with the Usos.
Yeah, lost the titles.
So it seems the cracks are still there. I know even Roman winning, but the Usos lost their tag belts. There's still some cracks there in the foundation of the bloodline.
Yeah.
I did pull up a full in-depth recap here, so I'll be able to kind of keep up with you. So I know what order things go in. We got a Hall of Fame recap, which is typical. They talked about the WrestleMania, blowing smoke about that, saying it was the most profitable WrestleMania of all time. And the reported attendance to WWE is like 80,000 one night, 81 the second. I think a total attendance of just over 161,000, which pretty impressive.
Yeah.
All right, next we get the Bad Bunny, right?
Ray Theory.
Yep, we get Ray in theory. We
Yep.
get Bad Bunny at ringside. What did you think of the match? Rey Mysterio, Austin Theory. It's a fairly short one. Theory wins in about 9.5 minutes.
The opening promo for it also is worth mentioning. That actually was pretty good. Theory was real good. I like how he talked about how they both won, but of course Ray beat his son, who he raised to be a loser or whatever. I don't know. It was really good. Theory's promo was really good. Dogging Ray for beating his son, who was just not very good, and it was really funny how he raised terrible. So I really enjoyed that.
Austin Theory is getting so much better on the mic. Now that they've kind of taken the whole selfie thing away from him, unless, with Vince back, they decide to plans change, pal, and they'll have him
Why not? Yeah.
rejoined by Vince on camera. I certainly hope not. But yeah, Theory's on the mic is really good. Like you said, he talked about Ray beating his son, where he beat the greatest of all time. He beat the GOAT. So
yeah.
Here's an interesting thing. The first actual match. I'm not going to count Omos and Elias, but the first actual match came 55 minutes into the first hour.
Mm-hmm.
So in that first hour, we literally got just the 90 seconds of Omos and Elias and the start to the Ray Theory match. Not a lot of wrestling on the show. So if you're expecting wrestling, you're going to be in for a bad time.
Yeah, and this is another one that it's kind of random, right? We just Ray and Theory, they push them together. They both come out of completely different matches, and then they just go, "All right, you two, you got nothing going on. You're in a match. Let's have fun."
Yeah, it's randomness. I guess they could be starting a story, but we know that's not the case because we know what happens here very shortly.
Yeah.
Theory caught Ray's 619, ended up hitting the A-Town down to pick up the win. Then we get Dominic and Damian Priest coming out. They attack Ray. Dominic goes over to Bad Bunny at ringside. They exchange some words. And then we get physical with Bad Bunny and the remnants of the Judgment Day. But what do you think, especially with Dom coming out?
I'm just so excited that Dom and Priest are still together, and we're still in this fighting them together. It's dumb, and it's even better that Bad Bunny punches Dom once and he goes down, and then Priest has to turn the tables again, just for Bad Bunny to punch Dom a second time and Dom go flying down for Priest to have to take care of business. So luckily nothing's changed. Even though he fought Ray, he's back to I get one-shotted by Bad Bunny and I can't even help Priest double team a guy. So,
yeah, I'm expecting this is going to lead to a match at Backlash. Now, Bad Bunny is the host of Backlash, which doesn't mean he can't have a match. So maybe we do Ray and Bad Bunny versus Dom and Damian Priest, which is kind of an interesting turn since Bad Bunny's first match, he teamed with Damian Priest. Now he could be going against Damian in a tag match. So that looks to be the way there's heading the storyline. I thought maybe the LWO might come out and get involved, but they're over on SmackDown. And Finn has a giant gash in his forehead, which is fucking gnarly looking. But it looks like they're leading to something here with Dom and Priest, and then Ray and Bunny. I imagine we'll get something between those guys. What did you think of the bump Bunny took through the table?
No, it was nice. It was real nice. I thought that was a real high spot right there. The Priest and Bad Bunny would be a great story to tell because of the way that they came in, like you were talking about it. Now Priest is on the dark side, and now they can go have a thing. But there's no reason to keep tying Ray and Dom back up into everything again, and we're just going to keep it. Just this doesn't even need this doesn't need to be their freaking clique, their group again. We don't need to keep doing this over and over again, and It won't end. It's all we wanted. It's all we wanted was for this to end, and they're going to come out. We're going to do the same thing. It's the same thing. It's Dom, it's Ray, and it's Priest, and now we're throwing Bad Bunny in there. So, yay, a non-wrestler getting thrown into the mix of the same thing again. This is going to be great. I'm sure. There's no way they're going to screw it up.
We get a video package of the tag match from Mania. We get a couple more packages. And we go backstage. We got Adam Pearce, who's going off on Damian Priest about attacking Bad Bunny. Priest says he took a swing at Dom. And says if he didn't like Bad Bunny, he'd have a reason to be angry. So at least, like I just said, at least it looks like the Priest was left off of WrestleMania, but he seems to be in a very prominent role heading into Backlash in Puerto Rico. So hopefully they'll make it up for him.
Yeah, he's good.
Yep. And then up next, we get the big tag match. The brand new undisputed tag champs, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, taking on the Street Profits. This was the longest match of the night at just a few seconds shy of 13 minutes. Rick, what did you think of KO, Sammy, and the Profits here? The big match on Raw, it seems.
It's just it didn't feel like they set us up for anything, right? We got the Priest and Bunny and the same stuff is caring for them. But this is kind of the only thing that feels like it was. They did an open challenge, which is fun. They had arguably the next tag team up that they should be going up against to come out, put on an actual excellent match. I thought it was a lot of fun. I didn't fast forward a second of this one. I watched all of it. I thought it was pretty good. And I wish they would do something, but you really can't. You can't from a face-face dynamic. This isn't something they're going to be able to do and then carry into the next pay-per-view with any kind of a story. But they could mix it up with some other teams and do something. I mean, they could add another team or two and then make it a tornado match come the next pay-per-view and have fun with it. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you can do with the tag team that isn't tied up working for Roman Reigns, for 2 years. So the belts are back. The belts are back in the hands of people that are going to defend the titles the way it's meant to be. So,
yeah, the match itself was great. Again, I just don't. It seems like they just said, "Okay, you guys go out there and have a match." The match is great. Like I would love to see them go back at it again. But this was Sammy and Kevin's first match since being champions. Why not put them against the heel team? Why put them against one of the top babyface teams on Raw and the Street Profits, a team that won their big WrestleMania match? Like, why are you going to force the fans to kind of choose? Because nobody's going to get booed in this match. Everybody got cheered, and it's just it makes no sense to put two big baby face teams against each other in a situation like this.
Well,
but that's a booking decision. The match itself was excellent. I love the match. It was really good.
They also won the tag royale, which is kind of neat. So I mean, that was something that they kept tying to. They just won the weekend, so that's kind of a big deal. The two big tag team winners went up against each other, so that part's kind of neat. And it was a friendly match, but it was random. So
very, very random. Yeah. We get a Seth interview backstage. Talks about winning his match against Logan. Said tonight something is missing. Then he realized the party isn't back there; it's in the ring. And he called for his music to play, and the fans sing it on the way down. We get back. Fans are still singing Seth's song as the ring, and that's pretty much it.
My only note is Seth is a geek.
A very big one.
That's my only note. One. Yep. I mean, he's got nothing. They got nothing for him. He's just like, no. So Logan's gone, so hi, everybody, sing my song. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it was pointless. Absolutely pointless.
What are we doing?
Then we go backstage again. Kathy Kelly's Bobby Lashley. He cuts a promo about winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which is going to lead into a match against Mustafa Ali. What did you think of Bobby Lashley's promo and this brief little 1 minute match with Mustafa Ali?
Promo's fine. Lashley's another one that I kind of feel bad for about the way things fell apart going into WrestleMania. It's nice that he got to win the Andre the Giant Battle Royale. So at least something nice came from it. I hope they can find a way to get him some momentum into a good, kind of rivalry for a couple of months. Maybe get him a good pay-per-view match, since he just didn't get anything for WrestleMania for this whole mess he got tied into, the biggest train wreck of a freaking storyline ever, with just Bray just murders everything.
Yep.
So hopefully they can set it straight for him. They fed him Mustafa, which is nice. Give him something tonight just to show his dominance, since he didn't get WrestleMania. And I don't know, maybe they'll figure something out for him. But again, it's another one of those, we don't have any place to go. Mustafa, you're standing over. Ali, you're not doing anything. Get over here and get beat up by Lashley. Thanks, guys. Next promo.
Yep. And you see, again, this is just such a Vince Man thing going on. Then we go backstage again to the Bloodline. What did you think of this next chapter in the Bloodline saga with Reigns asking Heyman if the Usos were gone, and they're talking about Brock and all that fun stuff?
I don't think it's out of place. I think it's exactly what they were going to do. And I don't think it signals the end of anything. I think it signals more of him maybe just kicking the Usos out. They're going to be bitter and off doing something. Maybe even take some time off for a while, being shamed out of the WWE by Roman to return at a later date for some reason. Maybe he'll lose the title in the next match because they're not there to save him. I don't know, man. The Usos are another one that I feel bad for, because they kind of help. We talk about it every video. When we talk about this with Jay, kind of carrying the load of this story for so long.
Yeah.
And now here we are. They're the ones that lose the titles. Roman keeps his, so now Roman keeps going on. He's going to mainline a lot of this stuff, and then we've got the Usos titleless, who are going to be kind of pushed aside as side characters, whose only story is probably going to be that Roman doesn't like them anymore. So it's like, we gotta see where they're gonna go with it, but I mean, it makes sense. So I'm not gonna dog it yet. We'll have to see where it goes. Obviously, he wouldn't hang out the loser Usos. He's threatened it a number of times over their title reign. Like, you go out there and lose tonight, don't come back. And so it's not weird. It's exactly what he should have done.
Yeah. So I mean, they kind of hinted at planting a seed that maybe Brock is back working for Paul again.
Mm-hmm.
But Paul, the silver-tongued devil himself, talked his way out of that too. So I thought it was good. I'm very curious to see where the story goes, especially after what happened at the end of the show. Then we move on. Up next, we have Bianca Belair coming out. She cuts a promo. Then she's interrupted by Rhea Ripley. And is it just me, or are we teasing maybe a match between these two at next year's WrestleMania? Because to me, that's kind of what I'm getting from this, is we're going to see Rhea versus Bianca. Even if they're both champs, awesome. If not, either way. But it looks like both of these ladies have their sights set on each other.
Weird time to do it, since you're not going to do it for a while. Maybe Clash of Champions. I don't know. Not going to do this for a while. There's not a lot of reason to do this. You could have had him come out and talk about anybody. But it seemed like they were really hell-bent on getting everyone FaceTime tonight. For some, like, everyone had to get their face on camera, and to the point where the wrestling just didn't matter. None of it mattered. Everything in all its randomness. And now we've got two women coming out that just won their titles to go face-to-face just to not wrestle for a very long time. Yeah. So just more of the same. More nothing, not going to go anywhere. Thanks for watching.
So basically what you're saying is this is the Seinfeld of professional wrestling, just a show about nothing.
Tonight it was, or last night it was, yeah.
Yeah. Then we get a little cross promotion there, or not cross, but Liv and Raquel make their way out to the ring, the kind of up Rhea, and then we get a match between Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan taking on Dakota Kai and Io Sky Sans Bailey for a future women's tag team match. Rodriguez and Liv win in about 7 minutes. I don't understand this, because you have Ronda and Shayna winning at Mania. in which we talk about that. You can check out the review on the channel.
Yeah.
And then you have Damage Control, who are also on the losing end of their 6-woman tag match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But you know what, pal? Let's throw these two teams in a match, and the winner will get a tag title match down the line. Because fucking reasons.
Either one of them could have won, and either one of them could have won, and it would have made sense. And this match would have made sense. I thought they both should have won. If this was going to be your new rivalry going into like set up for the next pay-per-view, there's a lot of stuff you can do with that. But who wasn't there tonight? The two tag teams that won the matches. Yeah. They're not there. One of them's even in. Both of them are injured. The other one, both of them are Hall of Famers that aren't even going to show up for a while. They kind of picked their spots. So I don't know, man.
There's a lot of star power missing. No Becky, Lita, Trish, no Bayley.
Mm-hmm.
We got very little of a lot of other superstars, and the only return, which is coming up next, Miz comes out, and then he's interrupted by...
Real quick before we move on, the note that I have for the match, I thought the match was very good. We really even mentioned the match. The Liv Raquel match with Damage Control actually was a really good match, I thought. I enjoyed watching it. There's a lot of hair whipping around, which is always fun. They did call out the code breaker. Busted out the code breaker in the middle. I was real excited.
Yeah, they called it on WrestleMania both nights. So people hit code breakers. Yeah. They actually called it.
Yeah, they're calling out the code breaker. I love it.
Pretty cool.
So, yeah, sorry about that. I just needed to get that
out. We're moving on to the Miz segment, and Riddle comes back. He ends up hitting the Bro Derek on the Miz, and that was pretty much about it. What'd you think of Miz and the return of the Bro?
Well, so that's 3 days in a row that Miz just randomly got beat up by people in a suit. So,
yeah,
nice.
Pretty sad. We did get an interview with Trish, Becky, and Lita backstage. They did not come out for the crowd, which again I think is a mistake, but whatever.
Yeah.
And we get plugs for next week. We'll get a women's tag title match. So I'm guessing that Becky and Lita will be defending against Liv and Raquel. And then Miz versus Matt Riddle will also be next week on Raw, which, again, we'll really be able to tell if Vince is back if these matches are announced this week and they don't happen next week. That is Vince 101.
Yeah.
Then we get to the main event match of the evening, which should have been awesome. Reigns, Solo, and Heyman come out. Cody makes his entrance. Brock makes his as the ring introductions. As soon as Cody is introduced, he turns around and walks right into an F5, and then the beatdown is on.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are saying this is a bait and switch, but since this wasn't a match that was promoted beforehand, it was just kind of announced earlier in the show. Do you consider this a bait and switch? And what did you think of the overall of this, the main event segment of this major match we were promised, and it ended up turning into nothing?
I think whatever story came out that said that they had made a decision for Cody to lose weeks beforehand, I think was wrong. I think this felt exactly like what would have happened if they set this up with Cody as champion and then Brock turns on him and they all beat down the champion. That's kind of what it felt like this story would have been, which would have felt like it made sense. This way that they ended up doing it, it sounds like they just continued that same story, except for Cody lost last night. Now Cody's just needlessly getting beaten down by Brock Lesnar for no reason in a non-title fight, and now it just looks weird, right? So it almost feels like that they actually very late in the game decided for Cody to lose, and then went, "Oh crap, we forgot about Raw. Just leave it in."
See, I could understand that, but see, I'm thinking. Here's what I'm thinking. If going off of the Cody was supposed to have won a couple weeks ago, so they obviously either Roman's going to take time off, but they still don't want to take the belts off of him. They're still going to tell some stories.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with Cody in the meantime? Well, I guess you do what they did with John Cena back in 2012. You have Brock Lesnar come out and whoop his ass, starting a feud there to kick off the. So I'm figuring, if Cody's not the one to beat Roman, I don't know who is at this point. Because they passed on Sammy, they passed on Drew when they had a chance last year. They passed on Sammy at the Chamber. They passed on Cody at WrestleMania.
Kevin Owens
multiple times in his
Yep.
3-year reign as Universal Champion. He had at back-to-back Royal Rumbles. He had an opportunity, and they didn't do it. My biggest fear, and I still think Cody's going to be the one to ultimately beat Roman, and whether that be at SummerSlam or maybe Survivor Series, Cody's got to be the one. But what I'm worried about is the Lex Luger effect. If you remember back around WrestleMania 11, was it 11? 10. WrestleMania 10. When you had the double Royal Rumble winner with Brett and Luger going over at the same time. Brett fought Owen in the opener, and then Luger fought Yokozuna, and then Brett fought Yokozuna at the end. Lex Luger for almost a year before was touted as basically the next guy. He was going to be the next Hulk Hogan in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of striking, the summer before with the Lex Express, slamming Yokozuna on the deck of the Intrepid, they didn't strike when the iron was hot. And by the time they got around to potentially make that move and put the belt on him, you're at WrestleMania the next year, they missed their window.
Yeah.
My biggest fear is that the same is going to happen to Cody. That WWE chose not to strike while the iron was hot. Cody will never be hotter than he was going into this match at WrestleMania 39. I mean, there's a possibility, but I think they had done everything right to position him to take that spot, to be that guy. And they decided not to, for whatever reason. And we may never know what that reason is. ZNX Souls, yes, Raw did suck. Thanks for hopping in the live chat, my man.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, and that's why when we talked about the Night 2 review, I was like, you know what? Like, normally I want that instant gratification, and I was wanting that with Cody, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? For the last 3 years, the Bloodline story has delivered time and time again. And they were playing the long game. They played the long game with Sammy. Maybe they're playing the long game with Cody. So I was hopeful, but knowing what I know now about Vince and being back in control and running the show again, I don't know.
I think
don't know.
So. Yeah. So here's what I'm thinking, right? Because this whole show is shaped around we're kind of beating around the bush with it. Everything I think changed when they realized Endeavor was buying them a couple of days ago. I think they found out a couple of days going into WrestleMania, and they started to tool up Night 2 and kind of change things so that they can stretch out some of the stories or do some things a little bit differently. And that's why it felt so conjoined, like so discombobulated and weird on Night 2, and the matches didn't feel right, and they felt like people were, it just felt weird all night. I think everyone felt it. And then Cody doesn't go over, which, I mean, I've already made it clear. I thought Cody winning was a terrible idea, because he hadn't been wrestling for a long time. He'd been hurt, right? He comes back out of nowhere. He wins the Royal Rumble and gets to beat Roman Reigns and be the guy to take the title. I mean, does that feel right? I don't think so. I don't think it feels right to me at all. And I think now, after watching Raw, after that ending, after watching the end of this show, I feel like a couple of days ago that they were told that Roman is not losing the belt. They were told it's not going to happen. And I think that's why we're getting Triple H's goodbye. That Triple H is still in control of creative, I think, is one of those things I think Triple H realizes that it's just not a real thing. Because you watch the show, this is not a Triple H show.
Next thing you know, next week we're gonna get Terra Rising is all elite. Paul Levesque is all elite. We're gonna see the memes. I mean, those memes have been around for a while now, but it's a very big possibility. Let's go to the chat here real quick. It says Cody should have won, but nobody talking about Finn or Amos. They should have made Finn Demon look strong, and he could have gone into a
Yeah.
rivalry with Bray, and Omos could have basically been the new Great Khali. Omos being the next Great Khali is not a good thing. I will say that, but I know, Rick, you were very passionate about the Demon. We talked about it on our WrestleMania review, so if you want to check that out on the channel, you can get our opinions on that. But Rick, do you want to add any other comments about Finn? I know you were really hoping for Finn to come out on top here.
Yeah, oh my God, that's exactly right. Balor should have absolutely won, and especially as the Demon. It's the only thing you've resurrected the character. You've resurrected Balor. Balor now goes over Edge, the Hall of Famer, and Balor is back. You can put him back into like some of the upper echelon rivalries, get him back involved in the company, and do a bunch of different things, right? But you got a guy on a clock that you fed Balor's best character to. So now, what happens the next time they want Balor to go over? How's that going to feel? What happens next time they want the Demon again at a pay-per-view? What's that look like? They just murdered Balor for no reason. Edge winning that meant nothing to anyone. There's a couple of fans that are going to say, yay, Edge won this weekend, but moving forward, it means nothing for Edge. He didn't need this. Balor and the Demon had to have this weekend, and they took it away from them. And I kind of do. I like what he's saying about Omos, but yeah, I mean, he's not going over Brock Lesnar.
No. The Demon has now lost the last two matches. We've seen the Demon. Mm-hmm. The Demon is 0 for its last two.
Dead.
Which at one point, when in NXT, when he first introduced the Demon, it was a guaranteed dub. Like, you weren't gonna be able to keep up with the Demon. Like, that's just what it was. And initially on the main roster, after he won the Universal title and injured and came back, and he would use the Demon less sporadically. But again, the Demon was always like, okay, he's got to put it into that next. It's like hulking up. It's like Hogan, he's hulking up. Mm-hmm. But it was a personality for Finn, the Demon. But now we've taken the luster off the Demon.
Yeah,
the Demon's lost 2 matches in a row. Unless they want to feed somebody to the Demon, or would you put Bray versus Finn and feed Bray Wyatt to the Demon? Have the Demon beat Bray? No, you're not going to do that.
Is Bray coming back?
Yeah, says they could have switched off the lights and stuff and stand up again like it had no effect. Balor pins Edge 1, 2, 3. I think anything. I mean, I predicted Edge to win because I just figured that's just going to be the way it went. I would have liked to have seen the Demon win because I think you set up a lot better that way. I'm just glad the feud is over. I'm hoping and praying, and with what we saw on Raw last night between Priest, Dom, and Bad Bunny and Ray, I'm hoping we moved on for the Judgment Day.
Balor and Edge weren't there.
No, they weren't. But the other members of the Judgment Day are locked in with Bad Bunny heading in. We might not see Finn for a while after that giant 4-inch gash in his forehead that took like 10 staples at ringside. So, I mean, kudos to Finn Balor for even finishing the match with his head looking like it did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we got to move on. You've really hurt the Demon. Edge gets nothing out of it. We got Brood Edge in name only, but there was nothing really brutish about Edge other than he came up through fire, which he had done already once before since his return. So
yeah,
and I said this analogy, and I'll say it again here. Night 1 of WrestleMania was getting back with your ex, and then night 2 was finding out why, or remembering why you broke up with him in the first place. Mm-hmm. And I'm adding an addendum for Monday Night Raw. Is the Raw after Mania was realizing the bitch gave you herpes. You got back together. So you go from the highest of highs at night 1 of WrestleMania, and then they deliver that crap at WrestleMania night 2, and then the crap last night on Raw. I almost don't even want to think about watching SmackDown this week for that reason, because I am just so over what they've given us the previous 2 nights.
Yeah. I took kind of a break away from AEW and switched gears back to WWE. I've been watching it significantly more now. Everyone kept telling me it's better. It's better. You're going to love it. It's better. All the storylines are better. Everybody's, they're hitting the right people. Triple H is fixing it. You go into WrestleMania and I'm like, this is awesome. This is everything. The cards look great. This is going to be just an amazing weekend. And you get through WrestleMania 1 and then, wait, they're sold. Wait, what? It's like they announced Vince was coming back a couple of weeks ago, and then they're sold, and now they're going. It's like, wait, I thought that everything was different. What's happening? And then we got WrestleMania night two, and you're like, this is really bad, and they had no backup plans, and everything feels like they changed everything last minute, and the choreography is terrible, and everybody looks lost, and then you get into Raw, and it's just like shooting from the hip, like who's standing in the back area? You're in a match now, like. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the same old shit, pal.
Yeah, I mean, just like you just said, when you said we've moved on, I think the only things that we wanted that we thought might move on, like you said, Cody should have won. I mean, that really was like the only thing that we should have really seen that they're going to break up. But now what we figured out is it's going to take months to develop that storyline of them actually breaking up with the Usos, right? So we just know it's going to take forever for him to actually officially get the Usos away, because it's going to be these little vignettes every week until the next pay-per-view or whatever, and it's just going to be him avoiding the Usos like it's a bad relationship. And then Edge and Balor, we don't know that that's over. I know you said that we moved on to Bad Bunny, but Ray was still there. Dom and Priest still attacked Ray. All they've really done is they've taken Finn and Priest and Dom, and they still have Edge and they still have Ray, and they've just added Bad Bunny. So now maybe we'll get a triple threat. We can keep it going, man. Triple threat next pay-per-view. Same stuff. Let's keep going. Who cares?
Here, I'll just throw this together real quick. Got some comments about Dom. His theme song is dope. Kind of wanted him to win. Looks cool. Yeah. I agree. I was originally on Dom in my predictions, but Rick put up a good argument. I changed it to Ray, and I got it right. But let me just say that most of the wrestling audience, this is what you all wanted last night on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
This is what everybody wanted. And we didn't get anywhere close to it. But
Solo
instead,
won the championship.
Brock giving him an F5 and blah, blah. So I just happened to see this, and I just remember I had my Bret Hart with my Winged Eagle belt on the desk, so I grabbed it because that's what we all wanted. We all wanted Cody bringing the belt, the new belt. It says with both titles. Here, I got you there. Hang on. All right, so you want Cody with both titles. So we'll go Cody. There we go. I aim to please here at Wrestling with Fans. If I can get the belt to stay with these AEW things. But there you go. That's what we wanted last night. Cody with both belts. I'm very excited for July when I get my my Cody Ultimate figure. But until then, I needed a Cody, so I picked up this Jazzware suited version just for the hell of it. So at least I got a Cody in a collection. But all right, Rick, I think we're getting ready to wind down here. We've been on for about an hour. Any last thoughts on Raw? I know we've kind of talked and covered a lot of things and took some jabs and things like that. Any final thoughts you want to bring up for the Raw after Mania?
So I don't have high hopes for SmackDown now. I think what Raw showed was we didn't have any definitive plans. So it feels like everything's up in the air. And with the sale, with the new creative, with Vince back, with everything is resetting with the end of WrestleMania, it just sounds like they didn't do their homework, right? Or they, got an extension, so they're going to hold off on doing their homework till next week. So I don't think we know anything yet. And it's a terrible feeling. Because if you don't see something you like, then you don't want to keep watching. Yeah. And that's why I stopped watching in the first place for such a long time before I came back. And they're really fighting to tip nothing, to show nothing, so that it's all kind of so that they have they can wait till the last minute to figure out what they're going to do. And I feel like the next pay-per-view is just going to be a bunch of things that don't feel built and don't feel like they put enough heat behind. So I think we're gonna end up with possibly a pretty useless pay-per-view.
See, I'll kind of play off of what you said. I think they had plans, but with Vince back, plans changed, pal. Everything about night 2 of WrestleMania felt like Vince stuff. Everything about last night's Raw felt like Vince stuff. The last, 9 months have been amazing with Triple H ahead of creative. It took him a little while to get rolling, but from like Clash of the Castle until night 1 of WrestleMania was some of the best wrestling I've seen from WWE in years. And now we're back to where we were pre Vince walking away. And like you, I had been I had been touting over the last 9 months to my friends who kind of stopped watching, and you were one of them. The stories are great, the matches are great. Triple H is in charge of creative. It's been excellent. I've really enjoyed everything. Now it's like, yeah, about all that. Yeah, about all that. Sorry, yeah. I'm just gonna show myself out now. But yeah, I'm gonna wait to hold my full judgment for a few weeks, but my initial thoughts, like you, is I'm not optimistic for what the immediate future holds for WWE. All right, so before we head out of here, if you're enjoying the stream, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Rick, for the those in attendance, let everybody know what you do on YouTube, Twitch, all that good stuff, and let everybody know where they can find you.
Gaming Nerdia reposting this week. We're starting to do some more launch videos. I've been doing some new intros, got some new editing software. We're doing a whole new relaunch with about 40 couple of videos. We're going to release sequentially while we build up some new catalogs. And the next couple of weeks, we'll be back on Twitch, Gaming Nerdy on Twitch, videos on YouTube, Gaming Nerdy on YouTube. And then for all the links for everything, just check out gamingnerdia.com.
Yeah, and links to all of those are down in the video description down below. So make sure you show Rick and the guys at Gaming Nerdy a little bit of love. And of course, you can follow Wrestling with Fans on all the social medias: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Get us wherever you get your podcast fix. WrestlingWithFans.com is the website. New shows drop every Monday. This week's show is going to be a combination of our night 1 and night 2 reviews. I've got it up on the monitor right here. I was going to try to do a little editing while we were talking, but there's just no way I'm going to be able to pull it off. So I'm going to throw a quick edit together to get that up. If you want to check out the individual episodes, they are on the Wrestling with Fans YouTube channel. The audio show is going to drop here in about an hour or so. You can check that out at WrestlingWithFans.com or wherever you get your podcast fix. Just search for Wrestling with Fans Podcast. We're on Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. Anywhere you get your podcast fix, you can get Wrestling with Fans. And of course, WWFshow@gmail.com is the email. Again, that's WWFSHOW@gmail.com. Feedback, topics, questions, anything like that you want to discuss or want to hear us discuss on the channel or me discuss on the channel, let me know. Shoot us an email, shoot us a DM on social media. But that's going to do it, Rick. Thank you again, as always, my friend. It's been a lot of fun these last few nights watching wrestling and talking wrestling. So we're going to get a break for a couple of days until SmackDown comes, and then we'll see where things go from there. But
I hope it's worth
appreciate
talking about.
everybody joining the stream live. Appreciate all the new subscribers that we've gotten over WrestleMania weekend. I am very, very grateful for that. Thank you all so very much. So until next time, for Rick, once again, my name is Kyle. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time right here on Wrestling with Fans.